Brace yourself. Get it passed up anytime now. Collect yourself. Things will never be the same in a sad, sad world.
And here we go. Welcome, everyone. Good to be with you today. Excuse the annoying sound of the more annoying than usual sound of my voice. I am being attacked by allergies. I don't know what the hell I'm allergic to because there's nothing going on any different today than any other day, but it's just whipping me. Today we're going to talk about a concept called Hellenism. And that takes us back to our friend, good old Alexander. Good old Alexander, except that Alexander's not actually either of those things. He's not particularly good unless you think it's good to cut heads off. If you do, then he's really good because he's the best ever at cutting off heads. And he's not particularly old because he was 32 when he died. Hey, get rid of the music. He died hundreds of miles away from home. He never had the opportunity to sit on a throne and hold on for just a second, please. Sorry, we had a little technical glitch there. Off to a good start today, guys. What's this? Go away. Hundreds of miles away from home, he dies. He never got to sit on the throne and enjoy being an emperor after conquering the largest empire in the history of the world up to his time because he dropped dead at 32. And he didn't name a successor. So after he died, his generals turned on each other and they went to war and split up his empire. So his empire doesn't outlive him. And it splits up into four main rival kingdoms, a few smaller kingdoms, and the borders are shifting just about every day during this period. We call the period the Hellenistic period, and these are the Hellenistic kingdoms because Hellas is the Greek word for Greece. But all through this stretch of territory, this spans three continents: Europe, Asia, Africa. Even though they're independent kingdoms, the kingdoms are all ruled by Macedonian Greeks. And all the important leadership positions in society all through this territory are held by Macedonian Greeks. And the rich people, Macedonian Greeks. And the educators, Macedonian Greeks. And so because of this, because of the conquest of Alexander, riding on the back of these conquering hordes of Macedonians are Greek ideas. We just spent months right here. Here's Athens. Everything we've done for months has been right here. Oh, we traveled briefly here to Pella. That's the Macedonian capital, and island of Lesbos is over here somewhere. We spent most of our time right here in Athens. Now, those ideas that Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle are talking about in this one little town are being discussed in this whole area, from Greece to Egypt to Syria, all the way through Afghanistan and up to India. All of this is now Greek territory, Greek dominated. Hellenism, then, is the study, spread, imitation, and hybridization, and we'll talk about that word in a second, hybridization of Greek culture and ideas, especially in the 300 years following the conquests of Alexander the Great. When I say hybridization of a culture, what do you think that might mean? Yeah, Maria, come tell us. Yeah, I don't want you to trip or fall. Someone almost broke their neck the other day. For real. And more importantly, almost broke Zeus. Combine, yes, hybridize. It's another term for it that we've used in this class is syncretism. So if you're in Egypt, well, when Alexander conquers Egypt, he's not conquering an empty territory. There's already people in Egypt. There have been for millennia. Egypt is a deeply old culture. Aristotle lived closer to your birth, Maria, than to the building of the Great Pyramids.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
how old, yes, he did. That's how
For real?
old Egypt is. Yes. So when the Greeks take over Egypt, Egyptian language doesn't disappear, religion doesn't disappear, the culture, the music doesn't disappear. But now the Greek is being added on top of it and being combined with it in new and interesting ways. So, for example, we have this god. This is Zeus Amon. Well, Zeus, king of the gods of Greece, Amon, a high god of Egypt. Well, here they are blended together as if they're simply one being. And that happens all over this 3-continent spanning territory of the Macedonian kingdoms. Hellenism, the spread of Greek culture, it's an example of hierarchical cultural diffusion. Do we remember that term, hierarchical cultural diffusion, what that means? No, you speak for everybody, Jesse? Oh, Samurai, you speak for everybody? Well, let's see if we can get a reminder. Maria, could you unplug my microphone? There's a thing with the thing. Yeah. Michael Jackson in a Pepsi commercial.
With the shit back then.
Yeah. Say it again, Maria.
That's inappropriate. He was the
Say something that means the same thing.
He was the ish back then.
Yeah. Because they want to sell Pepsi, and nobody is bigger in 1984 than Michael Jackson. So they put Michael Jackson in the commercial because they know that we're all going to say, "Ooh, I want to be like that guy," and go out and buy Pepsi. Where'd my PowerPoint go?
Boy, is that one the last
Oh.
one?
Oh, yeah, it is. Okay. Yeah. So this is an example, and we talked about this in our culture diffusion lesson. It's an example of hierarchical diffusion, that cultural ideas spread from the top down. You put Michael Jackson in the commercial because you know that Michael Jackson is an influencer. Sometimes hierarchical diffusion is someone who is actually a commander, an emperor, can tell you what to do. Michael Jackson couldn't tell you what to do, but they knew, put him in there and people will run out and buy Pepsi. And they did.
Who's Ray?
Who's
Ray?
That's Ray Charles. Britney Spears, Michael Jackson. When you walk down the street and you see a guy holding a sign like this, so hopefully we have some compassion, some empathy. Maybe we want to help him out. But the one thing we don't do is we don't say, I want to be like that guy. I want to drink the soda that guy drinks. And I want that guy's advice on the choices I should make in life. Now, hopefully we don't pass judgment because any one of us could end up that guy, but it's not that guy that we want to imitate and emulate. People want to imitate the people who are socially more advanced, the Michael Jacksons or the Alexanders, or who we imitate. And that's why hierarchical cultural diffusion works, which means that here's one thing that wasn't happening in the Hellenistic kingdoms. Let's say it's Egypt, all right? Adriana's at home in Egypt. Some Macedonian soldier doesn't come banging on Adriana's door and say, you better be reading Plato in there. You better be singing Greek songs in there and eating Greek food. Greek culture or nothing. No, that's not how culture spreads. It's not by force. It's not at the end of a sword. It spread, Greek culture spread through all this territory because people naturally want to imitate the influencers. And for 300 years after Alexander, the influencers in the territory stretching from Greece to India were Greeks. It was Greek leadership. The Greeks were the colonizers. The Greeks were the dominant ones. Just like Michael Jackson never saw a guy drinking a Coke and said, I'm going to go beat that guy up, force him to drink Pepsi. The Greeks never said, I'm going to force you to think Greek ideas. It was through that natural process of diffusion that Greek ideas transformed into the world's ideas. And those ideas that are spreading, even though Plato and Aristotle are now dead, Plato's been dead for a while at this point. Aristotle dies just a year after Alexander, but they both founded schools. They both have followers. Their followers are still arguing their ideas. So even from beyond the grave, Plato and Aristotle are still fighting. They're still arguing their competing visions of reality. And when their followers carry on their mission, the followers of a philosopher are not like the followers of a religious prophet. If you're following a prophet, you may say, hey, I'm just passing on what was handed on to me. It's not my place to judge it. It's not my place to change it. I'm just the messenger. I'm just handing it along. The students of philosophers don't work like that. So somebody could be a student of Aristotle or the student of a student of Aristotle and be carrying on Aristotle's work, but taking Aristotle's thoughts in directions he never anticipated and coming up with conclusions that are completely different than what Aristotle concluded, because philosophers aren't unquestionable oracles or prophets. Here in this image, this is a screenshot from the movie Alexander, and it portrays Aristotle teaching Alexander and other youth of Macedonia. And I really like the image, even though why in the heck would the buildings be ruins in the time of Alexander? So it's a little off, but I still think it's pretty cool looking. Also, Aristotle's too old at the time. I don't remember which one was Alexander. Probably, I don't know. I don't remember which one was Alexander. It was like a 2-minute scene. Then they jumped to him as an adult. Yeah. So the spread of Greek ideas in the Hellenistic age is largely, specifically the spread of Platonic and Aristotelian ideas that remain in competition with each other. Jesse Sunshine, come forth. What are you saying, bud?
Maybe the next one to be on.
Sure. Gotta have your headphones off when you come up. Hi, Jesse Sunshine. How you doing? All right. So I want you to imagine that these guys have stormed into your hometown and they've conquered you and taken over. And now they rule and you have to answer to them. How do you feel? Angry and like not good. Yeah. I think that's a good summation. Kate, how do you feel when you're conquered?
Probably feel like angry.
Sure.
Kind of.
Sure. All of a sudden you got people, they're not from here. They didn't grow up here. They didn't live your experience. They don't know you. And now they're telling you what to do. You used to make your own decisions, or at least the person who told you what to do was one of your own people. Now these strangers have come in and they've taken over.
You could feel powerless.
Sure. And
right, because like these complete strangers just took over your land.
Sure.
And they're like spitting on your face.
Yeah. And often people are powerless, That's how conquerors conquer, because they reduce people to powerlessness, to where they throw up their hand and say, okay, you rule, stop killing us. And then in that situation, you're a freshly conquered people. What is more appealing to you? Your past or your future?
The past.
The past. Well, Kagan said that loud and proud. Absolutely. Your future, you feel hopeless. So in your mind, you retreat back to the past.
There's a word for that. What is it?
Excellent question, Maria. The word is nostalgia. In this territory that spans 3 continents and includes Greece, because the Greeks themselves were conquered by Alexander before anyone else, because he comes from Macedonia and the Greeks didn't like the Macedonians. So they feel like they're being colonized by Alexander, just like everybody else, stretching all the way to India.
The Greeks could have had Alexander by their side.
Yeah.
Missed opportunity.
Yeah, yeah. In fact, we shared the video of you making that point last year
Yeah. it's a
when we got to
throwback.
that point. It's a
Throwback.
throwback, yes. Nostalgia is the dominant feeling in the air in this 300-year period. Jesse Sunshine, you know what nostalgia is?
Like the feeling that you get when you remember your past.
Sure. It's a longing for the past. Of course, that's if I'm longing for pizza, well, that's all right. Maybe I'll resist the temptation, but if I decide I'm going to give in to the temptation, I order a pizza. If I'm longing for the past, well, I can't ever get it, right? You can't go back. They haven't invented that yet. Let me tell you something on this.
For the old little mom and pop pizza place. That's now like nothing.
Yep, it's exactly what it is. And let me tell you something. I am more subject to this than anybody you ever met. I am just weighed down with nostalgia. So I walk to work almost every day, 4 miles, and I got my Spotify playlist going. And there's 1,800 plus songs. And almost all of them are from the 80s and 90s. I grew up in the 80s. I was a teenager and a young adult in the 90s. And it's very difficult to get me to appreciate a new song. Because the song I've been listening
Over
to for
24 hours?
yeah, it's 1,817 songs. When I
Oh
took
my
this screenshot, I think
God.
I've added 10 since then. When I listen to a song that I've been listening to for 30 years, it doesn't just have the words and the melody. It brings with it 30 years worth of memories. And it transports me mentally and emotionally to where I was 30 years ago or 25 years ago or however old the song is. And I do it every day. I do it every day when I'm walking in. From one song to the next, oh, I'm a sophomore now. Oh, I'm a senior. Oh, I'm 23. Oh, that sucked.
What's the title? What does it mean?
Maria asked about the title. It's an old inside joke from when I was in high school.
That's nostalgic.
Yes. I also have thousands of pictures from when I was in high school. And you might think, well, so do we. So do all of us. People my age don't, because we didn't have camera phones. I was one of those nerds who carried an old-fashioned camera and film around with him wherever he went. So unlike most of these people probably have one photo album, I have thousands of pictures, and I flip through them all the time and relive those memories because I really enjoyed high school. I really enjoyed the 90s, and I love being brought back there. And it's harmless, right? I listen to some Nirvana or look through an old picture. Can you tell which one's me, Jesse Sunshine?
Is it that one?
Yes, it's that one.
Right. Okay.
Yes. And that's, no harm, no foul. Fine. Well,
Such an
The-
awkward smile.
the problem with nostalgia is it's a liar. As nostalgia whispers to you, it was so much better way back then. Nostalgia is showing you a partial picture of the past. It's showing you all the good things about your past, my past, 90s and high school. It's not showing me having to deal with things like this, having teachers with attitudes send progress reports home to my family and annoy me. I can still hear
It's
her
your fault.
voice as she writes
your
this.
fault.
This grade reflects more than the effort I don't get. Jeff is lucky we have done some group work. That's me. Several items were never done, and he is rude to those in class who want to learn. Having to put up with crap like that, man.
I mean,
uh,
you were talking a lot during class.
Apparently, I was talking a lot during
You
class.
neglected your homework.
What's that?
Why do you still have this? And why do you have a picture?
Because I'm very
Is it like
nostalgic.
your first
I
one?
took a picture of it to put in this
Wait,
PowerPoint.
what does
I just have it
senior?
because it turned up in a box.
Were you a senior or an 8th grader?
Senior.
Oh, dang. A senior getting in trouble like that? That's embarrassing.
Yeah.
Grow up.
Hey, we had to get a 70 to get a D. Yeah. 90, 93, 88, 77, 70 for us.
Is that good or bad?
It means harder than you guys have it.
Oh, no. I will pass. Those
Yes.
blind colors.
Nostalgia, when nostalgia is lying to me about how great the old times were, it's not talking to me about how, when you're in high school, half the time you're heartbroken over the person you want doesn't want you back, or the other half of the time you're annoyed because someone you don't want does want you, and how this is just, they can just never line up, and it's so obnoxious, right? Sucks so much. Andrea knows what I'm talking about. Andrea, what's his name? Come tell us all your secrets. No, don't
Oh
do
my
that.
God.
Don't do that. Nostalgia's a liar. Okay. It does. And nostalgia doesn't say, hey, but remember how you had to ask somebody's permission to go to the bathroom? I don't know how you guys put up with it. I tell myself, oh, I'd like to go back in time. I'd like to go back in time to high school. No, the first time I had to ask somebody else's whether I could pee, somebody gets to tell me whether or not I can pee, I would lose my mind. It would drive me insane. But nostalgia doesn't tell me about that when I'm listening to my old music and flipping through my photo albums. It just says, oh, it was so much better back then. Nostalgia doesn't only infect us as individuals. There is communal or tribal or group nostalgia. What you're looking at here is Super Bowl 20, greatest football game ever played. January 26, 1986, the 1985 Chicago Bears annihilated the New England Patriots 46-10.
Can you say
And
the Bears?
what's that?
Can you say the Bears?
Can I say the Bears?
There's Chicago accent.
You want me to actually do the Bears?
Yeah.
Do the thing? Okay, I did the thing. Where I come from, this is just like one of the greatest moments in history. Okay.
Who won?
What's that?
Who won?
The Bears. The Bears won. It was never in doubt, my friend.
The Bears.
And so anybody my age or older, we're still talking about this 1985 football team. Because they really haven't done much of anything since.
Aren't they losers?
Just about, they've been back to the Super Bowl once in the nearly 40 years, and they lost that time. So all of us from the Chicago area, we're kind of stuck in the past. Oh, remember how great it was when here's the coach, Mike Ditka. What a great guy. There's Refrigerator Perry, number 72. Oh, it was great. It was great. And here's what nostalgia does. Tribal nostalgia does. It also gives you anger at the enemy. So you would not want to walk around where I come from dressed like this, wearing a Green Bay Packers shirt. Because
Who are
the
they?
that's Green Bay, Wisconsin's football team. There are rivals. You do not want to walk around Chicago looking like this.
Isn't every
No.
football team a rival?
Yeah, but places have a particular rival that they have a particular ongoing animosity against. And where we come from, we hate the Green Bay Packers. Why do we hate the Green Bay Packers? We hate the Green Bay Packers because the Packers suck. That's why we hate the Packers. Only to make it worse, the Packers don't suck. For 100 years or more, with pretty much the only exception being 1985, the Packers have had a much better team than the Chicago Bears. And that just makes it worse. That just makes it worse, makes us hate them all the more. So far, Jesse Sunshine, would you find the picture funny? No? Is that why you're laughing? Because you didn't find it funny? So far, we've illustrated nostalgia with pretty insignificant things. Music, high school memories, football. Imagine the sense of nostalgia felt by a conquered people who were nostalgic for the time before the enemies rolled in and cut our brothers and our fathers' heads off. Who were nostalgic for a time before we were dominated by outsiders. Nostalgic for a time when we had control over our own destiny. Through this whole region stretching from Greece to India, spanning Europe, Asia, Africa. Essentially the vibe in the air is Make Greece great again. Make Egypt great again. Syria great again. Give us back our glory days. We long for a past that never existed, a mythical past that we've convinced ourselves that the answers are in a yesterday that never was. Now, knowing that this is the attitude in the air for 300 years in this territory, as Greek ideas are spreading, let's look at what their choices are. Let's look what's on the menu. You are. So I'll switch you out here, Jesse Sunshine. Who wants to take Jesse Sunshine's place? Samurai, come on up here. You spoke up twice, huh?
I know, but when we were talking about the sports.
Oh yeah, what do you got for me?
I would say what about the Chicago Cubs or the Red Sox?
I'm a Cubs fan.
Only choose one.
Cubs, yeah. Samurai, how you doing?
Good.
Okay, so remember, Samurai, you are part of a conquered nation.
Yeah.
Okay, the conquest was bloody. You are now under the thumb, dominated by a colonizing, oppressive force. Okay, now you have two options as these ideas are spreading, and you can't stop the spread because where Greeks go, Greek ideas go, and Greek leaders bring Greek teachers to teach their children and yours, and Greek teachers went to school at the academy or the lyceum. Okay, hang on. Excuse me. I told you these allergies are killing me today. So here's your options. Plato. Dead Plato, what Plato?
Mm-hmm.
Plato tells you that this world that's caused you so much suffering, this world where people you love have been slaughtered by the Greek conquerors, and now you've got to pay taxes, which essentially are writing a check to the people that killed your family to say thank you. This world isn't real. Of course you're suffering if you're focused on this world, but I can get you out of here. You think it was better in the past? You're right, but not yesterday before Alexander came. It was better in the past, ages ago, when your soul used to live in the perfect realm. And if you follow me, I can send you back to that realm. And the people you love who were killed by Alexander, they'll be there waiting for you. And they will never die, and neither will you. That's what Plato offers you. Aristotle says the physical world is what matters. Hope is found in progressing and learning and mastering this world. Eternal life, I got nothing for you there. But you want to cut open this rabbit and see how it's put together? Who appeals to you more as the conquered person? Eternal life? Reunion with your loved ones? A perfect world? Or cutting open fish and seeing how their kidneys work?
Plato.
Yeah. Remember how weird Plato sounded the first time we heard him? He might still strike you as weird. But friends, let me tell you, it's not even close. It's like that Super Bowl. Plato wins. Hands down. For the next 1,000 years, thought in the West and the Middle East will be utterly dominated by Plato's ideas. What you might do now is, the last thing I had you write for me was into the Platoverse. I had you imagine what if there was a society where everybody believed Plato's ideas, what would that society be like? Well, welcome to that world. That world is this world. Plato's ideas did win. And in the days to come, we'll spell out exactly what that looked like. So look at your predictions and compare them to what actually happened. Yes, Jesse Sunshine.
Did Christianity exist before Plato's ideas?
No, remember, Plato lives in the 300s BC, and that's before Christ.
So he influenced Christianity.
Yes, he did influence Christianity. Jesse Sunshine, if you didn't hear on the video, asked if Plato influenced Christianity. He did, and we'll be very specific about that. We've got lessons coming up, specifically first on Judaism, then Christianity, and Plato's influence. Yeah, absolutely. So you won't have to take my word for it. I'll spell that out. Andrea, do you have your hand up? Oh, okay. So let's say, you want to know how Plato wins? Here's how Plato wins. Samurai says to me, so I hear you're really nostalgic for the 90s. I said, yeah, I'm really nostalgic for the 90s. She says, oh, I can send you back there. And I'm like, what? She's like, oh, no, I can. I can send you back to the 90s. Only my 90s, Samurai's 90s are a little different. See, in Samurai's 90s, I don't have to ask anyone's permission to go to the bathroom, even though I'm in high school. And in Samurai's 90s, I don't have annoying teachers sending progress reports home. And in Samurai's 90s, all the girls I'm into are also into me, and the ones I'm not are not. And in Samurai's 90s, my friends and loved ones are immortal. So what Samurai's offering, what she's saying is, follow me, and your grandparents and your dad will still be alive. And I say, oh, well, Samurai, tell me more. And how hard is Samurai going to have to argue to convince me when I'm already a conquered person, right? I've already suffered enough. That's how Plato wins. No, Plato's path was very difficult. You had to devote your life to philosophy. Plato's victory after his death, Plato's victory is going to open the door for people like Samurai to come along and say, okay, it's really hard to be a philosopher like Plato, but guess what? I have a vision and I have a shortcut. Eat these magic beans or whatever, and that's my shortcut to Plato's world. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of looking for magic beans in this.
Cult-like.
That's cult-like, sure. And so we're going to be introduced soon to something called mystery cults that are precisely, this is a spoiler for next day or the day after that, but which are a blending of foreign religions and Plato's ideas. Mix them up, shake them up, and you get a whole brand new phenomenon. But that is a few days from now, us problem. Thank you, Samurai. Thank you, Jesse Sunshine. Thank you, Miss Maria. Thank you, Caden.
Thank you to this guy.
Thank you, Aristotle. Samurai's like, nope, she's not saying. They got the canceled Aristotle talk yesterday, so they got to hear.
Y'all heard about the women thing? Yeah, I'm telling you guys.
She was not happy.
Oh,
She
same
was-
sister, same.
Yeah, she came up here. She wanted to fight him.
Just go boom. Not to the statue because he like paid for it.
Mhm.
But when you see him, just go,
Give Aristotle a kiss? No. Okay.
Aristotle probably is.
Walk around a lot a bit, trying to make the pieces fit to a puzzle with a million missing pieces. When I'm feeling fine is when I discover that I'm afraid to blow my cover, and there's something very wrong with this. So sit back in your hole, or get back in your cave. If I'm going down, I'm taking someone with